Today we're going to be talking about Frontier's new communication strategy. We're going to talk about update number 3 for Elite Dangerous Odyssey. We're also going to be talking about some interesting community-related stuff going on over in Star Citizen. And there is now a launch day for Starfield. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We have a ton of topics to cover today, so let's just dive right into it. I want to start out by talking about the livestream Frontier had last Tuesday because it was actually a quite interesting one. Obviously, Frontier's received a lot of valid criticism lately, both because of the catastrophe that was the Odyssey launch, but also because people I think are getting a little fed up with the closed communication strategy. So it seems now they want to try to commit to be a little bit more open. That at least seemed to be the message I got from watching the live stream last week. Arthur, one of the community managers, said that they would rather give us bad news than give us no news at all. So hopefully this means that the nothing to share on this at this point in time message, which we've heard a gazillion times from Frontier, is going to be less frequent. Not expecting it to disappear completely, but at least going to be less frequent. They're also going to put a community manager, basically like a rotating duty thing, going to put one on forum duty, so they will be more active on the forums, helping there, replying to messages, those kind of things, try to be a little bit more visible. Overall, I think it's good to see Frontier hopefully now committing to being more open and being more sharing with what they do. Personally, I would much rather have them come out and say, we're working on this, and this is what it looks like right now. We don't know what it looks like in 2 weeks, but we will share with you if anything changed. I would much rather see that approach than the close-minded approach we've seen before, where they don't share anything unless they are 100% certain that that is the final decision. So I really hope we're going to see this last. Unfortunately, looking back, we have seen Frontier make promises like this in the past, where they talked about how they want to be open. They also were for a period of time, but always had a tendency to fall back in the old ways. So we will see. I hope, crossing my fingers, that this is the time when it sticks. There were some other quick, interesting pieces of information in that live stream. First of all, they are at the end of the month doing a bigger update, not an in-game game update, but more of an information update on what's going on, where we're going. They got the roadmap, which was very short-sighted, pretty much to the end of the month, and now we're hopefully at the end of the month. I hope what we're getting there is the more long-term, what's going on all the way up to the launch, hopefully, of console, and I hope even further. We don't know exactly what that's going to contain, and I'm not even sure if Frontier knows yet either, but at least at the end of the month, it seems we're going to get some kind of information on the future of Elite and where it's going from here. They also answered a lot of questions about the concerns people have, and one of the things they said was that yes, the game is too dark. They are looking into to brightening up a little bit, and they're taking it as a priority, and they claim they have a fix that is being tested at the moment, so it's something we will hopefully see in the not too distant future. At least I'm looking forward to that. I personally think yes, it is way too dark. Let's hope that goes in soon and smooth. They also mentioned the planet tech, which is in fact also broken, something that they're hopefully going to be looking at as well. This being pretty much the main feature in Odyssey, I kind of feel like that should be a really high priority, getting this working again. Overall, just adds to the whole long list of things that needs to be fixed with Odyssey. But I think the most interesting thing from that live stream was we got a very clear answer on what's happening with ship interiors. And the answer was no. Ship interiors are not on the roadmap for Frontier at this time, meaning there's no active development on it, so they're not even in a design phase or anything like that. They're not working on ship interiors, and that means if we are ever going to get ship interiors, it's gonna be years before we see anything like that, if ever. At this point in time, it may be that we never see ship interiors. That made a lot of people angry or disappointed. I don't know how to best describe it. I think it's a mix of the two, maybe. Mainly because this was one of the big ticket items that Braben went out and said doing the Kickstarter, that ship interiors is a thing they want to do. It's going to come. Personally, I've always looked at it like we're 6 years down the line now. I wouldn't expect that to ever come in the game. I would love to see it. I would love to see ship interiors. But at this point in time, 6 years later, I've already seen that as a broken promise, that it wasn't there. It may be that they would do it in the future, but in my mind, that was already a broken promise years ago. So it seems that if you are interested in ship interiors, your best option right now is to head over to Star Citizen. Last week, we also got update 3 for Odyssey, which included some interior shadow optimization. They include some terrain optimization and some culling fix. I don't know how to pronounce it. Has also been implemented. Personally, I actually, with this update, did see some notable performance increase. So for me, that did at least something positive. It's still not perfect, but at least it was a step in the right direction. 5 to 10 FPS increase depending on the situation. So that's definitely a thumbs up from my side in terms of performance. We also now got the ability to have reloading of weapons bound to the same key as switching between tool modes. So that's a really nice quality of life upgrade, reducing the number of key bindings you have to remember. Now I just also hope we're going to be able to take the going into free camera mode on foot to be bound to the same as we can in ships and SRVs. Currently ship and SRVs are separate inputs, but they can be bound to the same, but on foot can't. For some reason, I don't know why, but that's the way it is at the moment. I hope we're going to get that moved over so we can have that on the same set of keys as well. Another thing they did was they also changed the UI when you are changing the loadout for your suits. I think the new UI is a lot better than it was before. Before we had the main part of the screen taken up by just the avatar. Now we have an info box in the middle where we can see like resistance and shield recharge times, all the like basic stats you need to know about your suits. And the same when you're selecting weapons, you have the basic stat of the weapons front and center on the screen. Thumbs up, I like the new loadout there. So overall for me, I think update 3 was nice, it was a good update, and I hope that update 4 and 5 coming here over the next 2 weeks is going to be as positive as this one. And we're going to move on to a piece of community news this time. Project Either is back in action. Last week I mentioned that both Distant World 2 was cancelled on further notice and Project Either had stopped all their activities with repairing stations, but they are now back in actions. I'm not 100% sure what made the change, but it seemed that they've been in contact with Frontier, and whatever been going on in that interaction has made them decide that they're going to continue the project of repairing burning stations, so the whole bubble is not just going to be ending up with a bunch of burning stations. So it's good to see some space truckers back in action out there repairing stations. Next segment here is about the Hesperus event, and I will just say there will be no spoilers in this segment. So if you haven't done the event or anything like that, then there will be no spoilers. You can watch this safely. A lot of players who took part in the first part of the Hesperus event received a message from Salvation asking them to go out and complete some tasks. Because again, no spoilers, not going to go into detail with what those tasks are. I did the event on a live stream last week, and that turned out to be a little bit more exciting than I first thought. One of the things that I think was nice that I want to comment on here was Frontier made it fully solvable or fully doable in Pure Horizon. This would have been very easy for them to have used this as a promotion piece for Odyssey, where they would have put in like some small extra steps you could have taken that you could only go and see in Odyssey. Maybe like a door you could go into or something, panels you could open and find some materials in there or something. But no, there was absolutely nothing in that event that could not be done in Horizons. So I think it's really nice that they did that, both because the console crowd, who would again really have been left out if there were parts of it that would have been Odyssey only, but also because of all the players who do not have Odyssey who are still playing in Horizons. Overall, the event didn't really come up with that much news. There was a little bit of lore. I mean, these are lore events, so there is mainly just some lore, some history to go out there and discover for yourself. But I think it was nice that Frontier just kept it to Horizon only, and I hope that future events like these are going to be kept in the same manner, at least until the console launch of the game, so that console players can participate on the same terms as everybody else. Now, moving from Elite over to Star Citizen, I actually have something very exciting to share. I've finally decided that it was about time that we create an organization in Star Citizen. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically like squadrons. They are mostly like social structures. They don't really have a lot of function in the game. So it's more like a way you can kind of join up and make it a little bit easier to find other people in the D2EA community who are playing Star Citizen. So if you are playing Star Citizen and you want to join the Down to Earth Astronomy Club, as it has been named, you can go down and you can find the link for it in the description below. and you go and you can send an application and we'll get you accepted as soon as possible. Last night, we actually had some very interesting news coming out regarding Starfield. If you're not familiar with what Starfield is, it's a new game that's coming out next year from Bethesda. And it's going to be, imagine it's like Skyrim or Fallout kind of game, but in space. And this has made me super excited. I've been loving Skyrim. I loved Fallout. I've actually done a few Skyrim videos on the channel. Even if you go way back, you can find those. I love those type of games. Love those role-playing type of games. Not something I usually show a lot of on the channel here, but it is something that I play quite a bit off camera as time permits. So getting a space version of a game that I already love just makes me very, very excited. And the launch day is going to be the 11th of November 2022, so the end of next year. Now, this is actually quite interesting because the launch day of Skyrim was on the 11th of November 2011. So that was 11/11/11. I remember that very, very fondly. I actually managed to get my hands on the game a day before, so I was sitting there the evening before the launch of Skyrim playing it on my Xbox 360 in my little dorm room when I was studying at university. So I remember that. But Starfield is definitely a game I'm going to be keeping my eye on, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on it, even though it is going to be quite a while before we have any playable version of the game. Now, finally, I just quickly want to mention the live stream tomorrow. This is going to be a shipbuilding live stream where I want to do a more Odyssey-focused ship build, an on-foot ship build, if that kind of makes sense. I found after Odyssey came out that I've been gravitating more and more towards flying smaller sized ships, because when you land on stations you have a shorter distance to run and they are so much easier to get in and out of planets. They're easier to find a good landing spot for compared to if you fly something bigger. And I've just really been enjoying these small, maneuverable, fast ships. I've been spending a ton of time almost exclusively in my courier since the launch of Odyssey. So I'm gonna rebuild it because the courier I'm flying was originally built as a tender for a fleet carrier. So it was meant as a small exploration ship you would take out as a little support ship to a fleet carrier if you just need to explore the local area around the fleet carrier where you are. There's like a few hundred, maybe up to 1,000, 2,000 light years around the fleet carrier. Then that ship was kind of built for that. But for a bubble boss, it has quite a few shortcomings. The jump range is a little on the low side, so you can't move around the bubble as fast as I would like to. It does have some inconveniences for day-to-day driving it. So therefore I want to either rebuild it or build something completely new on a different ship. Now the goals for the ship is it needs to have as good of a jump range as I can possibly cram out of it, while still carrying a shield for accidental bumps and scratches, an SRV, so you can have that with you when you're flying around. And then it needs to be quick, at least be able to be boosting very, very quickly, because as we're going down to planets, or going up again more importantly, we're going to clear those mass locks, and you want to clear those as quickly as possible. So I found that having a fast ship really helps a lot, getting that speed up and getting out of the mass lock quickly, which I find super convenient. And then also having all this packaged into preferably a small size ship, maybe medium, I would prefer small. Just means you're going to have a really tiny ship. You can very easily get around. You're always going to get the small landing pad, so you have a shorter distance to run when you're going into the concourse on stations. And good jump range, fast speed, carry everything you need. It's a bit of a tall order. I think it's doable, but at the very least, we're going to be exploring that on the live stream tomorrow. We're going to be trying to theory craft some of it. I'm not sure how much actual in-game shipbuilding there will be, but we'll see how much we can theory craft and how much we can come up with in terms of ship builds. And then over the next coming weeks, as always, when I do these kind of builds, then I will be building it, testing it, changing it, iterating on it until it's in a final state that I like. And then eventually that will make it into a video and then eventually make it up on Commander's Toolbox. That's kind of the whole life cycle of the way I do ship builds. It takes time, it needs testing, it needs iterating on. But we're going to start that process tomorrow on the live stream. We'll see how far we can get. So if you have your inputs, do come by. And of course, as always, it's going to be live streamed on YouTube and on Twitch at 7 o'clock in-game time. I hope I'll see you there. So that's going to be it for this week. Thanks a lot for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, give a like. Remember to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'll see you guys in space.